Welcome back to South Shore Marine. I'm joined by my very good friend, mentor, boss, whatever you want to call him.
Not boss.
No?
Not boss.
Friend.
Friend.
How about that? My very good friend here, Tom Mack. I'm Will Kruger, and today I think that it's important to talk about a pretty big subject, but you'll find after we're done talking with Tom that it's actually a very scientific and narrowed down topic, and that being how to buy a boat. I know it sounds like a pretty generic conversation to have, but what I didn't realize, and maybe what a lot of people don't realize, is that sometimes there's some specific things that need to be discussed when you go down this road. And I think Tom will enlighten us with some of that sort of thing. But, you know, for instance, Tom, like, generally speaking, okay, somebody walks in off the street, or you're having a conversation with somebody out and about, and they say, all right, well, I want to get into boating. I mean, it's a pretty generic way to get into a conversation with somebody, but you've heard that before.
Right. You know, and I think so many of us in the industry take it as normal and natural, you know, because we do it for a living and we do it every day, and most of our customers are buying boats over and over again. But we find it's best to slow down and make sure there's a really careful process when somebody's doing this for the first time. And, you know, slowing down, just asking a lot of questions, figuring out how they got to this point where they want to get out on the water, figuring out what's driving them, where's the excitement and the interest. We start with a process of just some questions. So I think we'll go through those questions today quickly and kind of give you the 101 method of how to buy a boat. So at our company, what we do is we start and ask questions. How did you come into boating interest? And normally they've had some contact, some exposure with friends or family. They had a day on the water with somebody that was probably one of the things that grabbed them or got them most interested. And we talk about what interests them the most. So it all starts with what's driving you to get on the water. And basically there's some categories. It could be cruising, it could be just relaxing at sunset time or days at the beach. Some people just want that beach experience. A lot of people, it might be fishing. That's a huge passion for a lot of people, and they want to do it on their own boat, not on shore. They want to be the guy on the boat. Other times it could be water sports. Some people like the social element of boating, so we start off asking those kind of questions, and then we start to make some categories.
So you have a big an overview, like why somebody came to you. There's already some questions that are already answered, right?
Yep.
I want to buy a boat. What's next? So
Yeah.
I want to buy a boat. Okay, there's a reason why we've come to this point.
Yeah, so it starts with a story, and usually their story is pretty telling. It'll give you some enlightenment on what's driving them. And then we start talking about, okay, what are we comfortable doing and where are we boating? Are we boating on an inland body of water? Are we on Lake Erie? Is it protected? Is it open water? That'll help us determine what's going to be the right size or maybe what's comfortable. You know, we certainly want to talk about what kind of things are important drivers. Some people want the latest and greatest in technology. Some people, maybe by definition, are pre-owned buyers where they're seeking maybe a certain value where someone else has owned it first or second. Some people, you know, just simply have a budget and they want to know, you know, what can I do if I'm willing to spend this much money on a cash outlay or finance? What can I afford? So we go through a process where we really understand, you know, what their interests are and how we align those with a budget that's going to match and be comfortable for those people.
You mentioned financing, to jump in here. You mentioned something about financing, and so it's a great conversation to have, right? So financing in the boating world is very different than financing we might be thinking of in other arenas, right?
Great question. And so many first-time buyers, especially, when they think financing, they're kind of pre-programmed to think like a vehicle purchase, a car or a truck. That would typically be a 5 to 6 year loan term. If you did that on a boat loan would be very expensive. So thankfully, boats are typically 15 or 20 year finance terms. That's getting a lot more like a home. So when people understand that, they realize, gosh, you know, if you put 20 or 25% down and finance the balance, your dollar goes a lot farther. And boats are really, you know, if well cared for and well maintained, yes, they depreciate, but it's not quite like a vehicle. It's probably somewhere in between your vehicle and a home. It is an investment of sorts with some depreciation, but there's a reason banks will finance a boat for 15 or 20 years because it truly is more of an asset if it's well maintained.
And you mentioned a home. There's actually a little bit of a benefit to buying a boat with a cabin if you are in that category.
Yeah, if
right?
you get into something that has overnight ability and cooking and a head for using the restroom, that is actually, by tax definition, a second home, and that actually affects the affordability analysis.
So I think the nuts and bolts of this are, okay, we can help you through the boat buying process, right? So it begins with a question. That question is followed up with a series of other questions. Once we've arrived at a type of boat, a style of boating, a budget, financing versus not financing, we've arrived at a pretty specific boat usually at that point. Is that right?
Yeah, and at that point the search begins, and that's the fun part. The job of the salesperson at that point is to find the boat or boats to get in front of the customer to consider, and then you start getting into what do they like, what styling attracts them. It may be colors, it may be content and features. There may be certain things that are triggers for whether it's fishing or water sports or the beach. If it's a cruising boat, how much content and amenities are involved. And the right salesperson, somebody that's experienced in the industry, they're going to guide you to a good decision. They're going to put boats in front of you that make sense and match your interest. And that's our job. I think our sales team here, especially, they're good listeners. They want to understand what you're trying to do, and they're going to find the right boat for you. Just a little patience. We'll get some product in front of you that might match, and hopefully we'll have you on water. We also like to understand, hey, what's the timeline here? Lately, especially in this world, people want to do this now. They want to be boating by, in this case, next spring. They want to be on the water next spring. You need to tell us that, and we need to act. And we'll get you out there. We'll find something in that time frame.
And getting out there, that brings us to another topic. This is something that I think is the fun part about the experience at South Shore Marine. I know the answer to this question, but we don't just get you the boat you need and then throw you out there and say,
absolutely, you need a lot more than the boat. Finding the right boat is so important, but finding the right team that's going to help you with orientation and delivery is so important. And the right dealership is going to do that right. At our team, we've got 3 or 4 guys that are on the delivery team, and we need to slow down as much as needed to make sure, as a new boat buyer especially, we're going through all the operational aspects, all the content, how do things work, what are the servicing points or maintenance checks needed on a boat, how do you take care of a boat? A lot of people ask that question. We'll get into that a little more too, but we're going to make sure that early period on the water, yes, there's always going to be a learning curve, but we're going to get you far enough along that learning curve where you understand how things work, docking 101, the basic rules of the road. Our request always is, gosh, do as much as you can with the safe boating course, Power Squadron, U.S. Coast Guard, etc. That makes our job a little easier. We're farther down the road in training once you've got that done. But if someone understands the basics, we're going to get you to that next level where you're comfortable coming in and out of the dock. You understand the operational feel on the water, how to run the boat, how to use the nav equipment, and all the features on the boat.
So there's the fun side of things. There's the the process of getting to being on the water. Once we've spent the entire summer on the water having a lot of fun, as I said, we have a really talented team that's very comprehensive and all-encompassing. There's another component, right? So there's one thing that we want to make sure everybody knows in terms of care for a boat, and how you end up the end of the season sometimes is involved with winterization, storage, that sort of thing. We have a finite period of time in Ohio where we can boat. That's the reality.
Yep. And I really think that is part of the sales process. And usually when we're in that category we talked about called the affordability analysis, people want to know not just, what does it cost to buy this boat and, maybe fuel and dockage, but I've got to take care of this boat and I need some help. And that's our job, to give you some good guidance there. And our team is pretty unique in our thinking. We want to be a proactive maintenance service shop. We don't want your boat on the water breaking down due to lack of maintenance, deferred maintenance. We want to give you the best guidance. We follow all the manufacturer's recommended guidelines for engine care, drive care, whatever it may be, outboard work. You certainly want to protect your investment well, and I think if you look at our service program, which should be a key part of the sales process, taking a look at that, how we take care of boats, we're protecting your investment, but we're also, more importantly, making your time on the water as valuable as possible. The last thing we want, if it's preventable, is we do not want you to have any downtime on the water. So that winter care, off-season care program is super important, and our team can walk you through that. And we just like to show you around our facility and show you what that means, how we do the various service elements and take care of your boat and keep it really nice. So that time on the water should be really trouble-free and pride of ownership. Precious, but with pride of ownership. Your boat should be looking good and keeping in top order.
Tom, I enjoy talking to you all the time, and I have the pleasure of learning a lot from you on a daily basis, and so hopefully we can help you through the sales process. If boating is in your future, we want to be a part of that, and I firmly believe that our operation is very well oiled, so to speak, but there's a lot of knowledge trapped in our brains. Everybody at South Shore has something to offer in terms of knowledge sharing, and any questions that anybody has, I'm available to talk. Tom always loves talking boating. Any of our service techs are always available, so please, we want you to reach out to us so that we can be your
go-to.
Your go-to.
Yeah, so come see us, and don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm new at this. I think sometimes a boat show or in a big event at a dealership, it might be a little intimidating if you've never done this. That's okay. We deal with anybody from years and years of boating experience and many boats behind them to people who have never done this before. And that part of the process, we just want you comfortable. And we're ready to slow down, listen to your needs and wants and what you're trying to do, and we'll help you through it and try and make it very comfortable.
Tom?
Thank you.
Thank you. And please reach out with any questions. SouthShoreMarine.com is our website. We're accessible and happy to help and always available to help.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.